Hey everyone, Kate and Fiona joining you for this week's Facebook Live, where we're continuing to dig into executive presence. And I think today, Fee, we really want to look at what gets in the way of executive presence and then how you go about doing it.
Yeah, so we love this topic. And the thing is, everyone talks about needing executive presence, but often it feels really hard to get a grip on what is that and, what and why aren't I seen as having executive presence, or what's going on for me that's stopping me having the executive presence that I'd love to. So one of the things we know that's often present for people as they try and explore this topic is the need to fit in, the need to be liked, and the need to be accepted by a peer group. And that's really normal. That's a normal human inclination. Everybody has that. We don't want to be judged. We don't want to be seen as, different to everybody else. We certainly don't want to be seen as self-promoting or boastful. And often our worry and our fear about those things is getting in the way of sharing all the great work we do and all that we could contribute.
Yeah, I think, and this, I've totally had this, there's still moments where I have it in terms of what's right, what's wrong. We'll talk a moment in unwritten ground rules, but I think this is a really important conversation because in our experience, the how to, what is it that I need to do? How do I reveal more of who we are? And that's the language we like to hold executive presence with, because it's not about doing more or being more. It's about revealing more of who you are, but actually digging into these red flags or roadblocks. What's stopping me potentially speaking up in a meeting? What's stopping me in a team dynamic, revealing more of my contribution, being more confident, showing my competence or my contribution? What is it that's getting in the way? And some of these things are pretty big things, right? Like our need to be liked, worrying about being judged or criticized, how will others see me? They are huge things. And I think what's important when we start to dig into this stuff and have the conversation with ourselves, and that's what we talk a lot about, being your own best coach, having the conversation with ourselves, is to be super compassionate, because we're all human. And when you actually start talking about this stuff with other people, you'll find that they think they're the same, they're thinking the same thing as well. But being really present to and starting to notice, and then starting to look at how you resource yourself to navigate through these roadblocks. That is in essence the essence of the work we do in the Acts of Confidence program, supporting women to, to navigate through some of these red flags and roadblocks. But noticing some of these things are really powerful, because once we're aware, we're able to show up and do things differently. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be super comfortable. Just because I'm aware that I'm worried about being judged doesn't mean that now I can speak up and not worry about it. It's not like, it's not a magic pill. But the awareness allows us to notice the opportunities. And then once we've done some of the how-to, which is, particularly around, why it's important for us to do that. We talked about that on one of our other videos. So go take a look at that. Once we're clear about why it matters, and we've got some strategies on the how-to, and we've got a great free PDF, which we'll talk about in a moment as well, that you can download, that focuses on the how-to, then all of a sudden we're able to navigate through some of these red flags and roadblocks.
Yes, you're so right, Kate. Pretty much all the women that we work with, they know that they've got something to contribute. They know that they're competent. They know they're talented. They've seen the results of their work. And yet, when it comes to this piece around how do I share more of myself, or how do I make more people aware of my value? How do I make people aware of, my leadership capability and what I'm actually achieving? That feels really uncomfortable. And that discomfort's not going to go away, but we've definitely got some ways in which to resource you so that it feels easier than it does now. And I think, just digging into understanding what's going on for you, being prepared to look at some of this coding goes back, literally decades. We were raised in a certain society, in a certain way of doing things. We had to observe a lot of rules. We had to be, the good girl and be quiet and not create a ruffle and not upset people and not do things that fitted outside a fairly narrow lane. And all of those, unwritten rules that we're responding to, lots of them exist in the workplace too. And unconsciously, we can be following an old path, an old track that's really holding us back from being able to fully express all of the great work we're capable of and all of the great things we can do and be part of in our organization. So there's a loss for us personally, but there's also a loss for the people around us, and the overall organization.
Yeah, I think as you say that, Fee, I notice in my own career, times when I've been worried about, in a team dynamic, particularly senior stakeholders, do I have permission? Is it my place to speak up here? What's the right thing to do, right? What's the etiquette? And that's where the politics can start to dig in when we think about unwritten ground rules or unwritten rules. And so being aware of and shining a light on some of these, often we're behaving and we're responding in a way that's unconscious to these, but it's really valuable to recognize that potentially that maybe that's one of the roadblocks, right? I'm not sure if it's my place. If other people expecting me to speak up, is it okay for me? We worry that if I do, I'll be shot down. My boss might not, be unhappy with me, all those sorts of things. So our ability to recognize them and then to get clear on expectations, to have good conversations, to actually get clear on what is okay and what's not okay, if there is any vagueness or uncertainty around some of those, what we call the unwritten rules.
Absolutely. I think there's so much to dig into here, and be willing to just question and examine. Again, hold yourselves lightly and compassionately. We don't want to beat ourselves up because we don't feel we've got the presence we'd love to have, and start to explore how this could be, a really valuable asset for you in terms of navigating your career and achieving all that you'd like. I think, when we get to the how-to, there's, we've got 3 really clear ways to support you in this. We talk about having a purpose, having a clear why. We also talk about doing your preparation, really knowing yourself. And that's a bit about what we've touched on this video today, is understanding some of those roadblocks, understanding what's going on, and understanding what you really want to achieve and what your purpose and what your place is as you engage with others and you choose to express a bit more of your executive presence. The final piece is, being willing to step into your personal power. Obviously, that's much easier said than done. Takes a little bit of courage, takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of personal work. And we certainly spend a lot more time exploring and looking at this in the PDF asset that we've got that sits alongside. So we've got a beautiful resource for you. It's very much focused on how you can focus in on your executive presence. We talk about articulating your value. We talk about leading with impact. And we absolutely think one of the biggest ways that executive presence is felt is when you can maintain confidence even when you're under pressure, even when things get tough.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean you do it perfectly, right? What it does mean is you do it authentically. And that's what's really crucial when it comes to executive presence. So lots to dig in here. We'll make sure the link is floating around. If you would like to download that PDF to start to dig into how you can maybe show up with a little bit more executive presence. So we'd love for you to download that. If you enjoyed today's confidence conversation, we'd love for you to let us know you've tuned in below. Of course, feel free to share it with anyone in your network who you think could benefit from this conversation, and over to our Facebook page, like it, follow it. Loads and loads of videos. We've been doing this now for years, I don't know how long. So lots of great content to dig into there if you like to go a little bit deeper. And of course, our website, coreconfidence.com.au, when you're ready to take the next step with your relationship with Core Confidence.